So a lot of people have been talking to me about the fact that they believe trading and investing is a great idea, but the problem is they don't have the money to get into it. I'm here to show you that you do. In this video, I'm gonna go over how to even start, how to take yourself from where you are right now to get into that massive investor, that $1 million trader in less time than you think. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that through something I call the 4 quadrants of cash flow. First, we gotta move over to the iPad so I can draw it and show you exactly where you are and why you are where you are and how to get to where you wanna go. Without further ado, let's get the video started. The 4 quadrants of cash flow. It all starts with this. Number 1, the first quadrant is pretty much where we all start. This is essentially employment phase. This is where you trade your time for money. While there's nothing wrong with trading your time for money, the only problem lies where you live the rest of your life trading your time for money. It's a great place to start, but it's not a great place to stay. The reason why a lot of people end up stuck in their life is because this is where they get comfortable, they get a great paying job with great benefits. You know, let's do this. Follow along if you've heard this phrase before. As you get older, go to college, get a great education so you can go ahead and get a great paying job so you can work until you retire. The way I look at that is you're gonna work until the day you die. Who would want to live that life? Why would you want to wait until you're 65, 70 years old to finally get the house or the car that you wanted since in your 20s? I want you to understand that 95% of the world that live in this first quadrant only makes about 5% of the world's income. Why would you spend all your time just to make the least amount of money in comparison to the rest of the world? Now that we know who we are or where we started, that gives us a better idea of how to move forward. So within this first quadrant, these are your 9-to-5ers, these are your job holders, you know, anybody that's trading time for money. So when you look at a chart, what you're doing is you're essentially trading time for money. So time and money has a linear relationship. The more time you spend, the more money you make. If you spend this amount of hours, you know, you'll bring home this amount of money on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. To break that down a little more into little bullet points, in this quadrant, more time spent equals more money made. I'm sure you guys heard the phrase, time is money. Well, guess what? That's false. That's absolutely false. So another thing that you'd have to be cautious with in this quadrant is that this is where the most taxes is paid. The regular workers, the regular 9-to-5ers are the ones that's paying the most taxes. Now, as we move forward in these quadrants, you'll finally understand why. So another thing to point out in this section is how many of you guys or how many of us that work jobs actually love what we do, actually love and is passionate about it? Or are you only working that job because you need to pay the bills, because you need to survive? Let's be real, right? So the next quadrant is quadrant 2. This is for the self-employed. Now, they still trade time for money, but the only thing is they have a little bit more control of how much money they can make. So an example of this, of these self-employed individuals, is like your Uber drivers, you have your barbers, you have your hairstylists. Hey, listen, I can't spell, you understand? I can't spell. You don't have to be smart to make money. Guess what? I'm still a trader. So another thing is you have fitness coaches. Again, there's nothing wrong with being self-employed. This is just the next step into being where you want to be. Now, like I said, their relationship with money, it still costs them time to make money, so time and money is still linear. But you choose your own schedule, so therefore you have more control of how much money you make over the amount of time that you make it. So if you want to charge somebody a lot more for your time, you have the ability to do that. If somebody's going to pay you $200 for a session or $200 for you to drive them from point A to point B, you have control to do that. That's where it gets a little better, right? So if you break it down, the first quadrant is pretty much what most people would think of it as. That's the poor class. That's the class where you're not focused on making, you know, business ideas or coming up with ways to make money or anything like that. Those are mostly the people that are comfortable with where they are. Well, if you're there, but you're looking to expand, you're looking to be better, you know, there's nothing wrong with being there for the moment, but at least be there with a plan. Now in quadrant 2, this is more of your self-employed people that have a little bit more control. You know, they get a little bit of tax breaks. Essentially, they are the middle class. These are the people that's going to focus on building credit to make bigger purchases that they couldn't afford in the first place. These are your people that work their whole life or work a large part of their lives just to buy a house and live in it. Again, there's nothing wrong with what people decide to do. Just understand where you're gonna be because of the decisions that you make, right? If you intend to live here, this is how it's gonna be. You're gonna get a little bit of tax breaks because of whatever investments you may have. You may have small investments like stocks, you might have some crypto. You might have just bought a $500,000 house that you live in where you have to pay maintenance on it, you have to pay taxes on the property, you have to do all that stuff, right? So these are the people that probably have the little 700 credit score and they spend their credit card to buy things that they can't afford. They want to buy the newest cars. They want to buy the latest tech. They want to buy the latest gear, the latest clothes, the new Yeezys to put on their feet, while Yeezy is just wearing regular stuff and laughing at you guys for purchasing his shoes for $1,000. Now, in order to get to the third quadrant, you have to first pass through quadrant 2. Let's get into the next quadrant. These are your business owners. You can own businesses in different ways. You can own it through storefront. It can be an online store or online service or product or anything like that. Anything where you can not only leverage your time to make money, but this is where you have access to leveraging other people's time to make money. You can have like an online business, anything that's online. There's like an Etsy, where you do something one time and you get paid for it multiple times. An Amazon store, anything like that, right? Or you can have the traditional storefront. Now, these business owners, they start to make up 5% of the world. Now, that 5% of the world pretty much controls 95% of the world's income. So here's where you can leverage other people's time to make more money. You get more tax breaks because you provide the community with jobs, right? So there's a lot of benefits to even, becoming a business owner. That's why the business owner pays less taxes, is because they provide a service for the community. They provide jobs. So these people, because they do that, they get tax breaks. And if you can get, smart with the tax game, you'll understand why that's a great place to be. Now, having a business is not where everyone else wants to be, but like I said, the whole point of this video is for you to figure out where you are, so you're having a better idea of where you want to go, how far you want to go, or where you want to be. So moving forward, the relationship here between money and time is not linear. It's no longer linear, because it doesn't matter how much time you put in personally or how much time other people put in. The money that the business makes is not dependent on that. It's dependent on so many other variables that no matter how much time you put in, especially in the beginning, you can make almost no money and then you can start to make a lot of money, or you can make no money again and then just make a lot of money out of nowhere. So time and money is not linear at all in this stage. But the reason that's a great place to be is because now that gives you an opportunity to work less time to make a lot more money. So it can also be a situation where the relationship between time and money looks like this, where no time is spent, you haven't worked a week at all, but you make the most money, and it stays like that for the rest of the year, where you put no time in, but a lot of money is made. Let that sink in for a little bit. Now, just looking at that simple thing right there, I'm not even done yet, but before we move on to the fourth quadrant, why do you think most people would stay in quadrant 1 knowing what they just learned? Why would you stay in a place where you're dependent on your job, you're dependent on your boss, you make almost no money, and then you're mad that you don't get paid enough for what you do? Why stay there if you're not happy? Well, a lot of people stay there for one or two reasons. Either greed or fear, right? It's either fear that if they try to do something more, they're gonna end up just losing everything, or greed that if I do this, I can just go to my boss and get X amount of dollars per hour, and that's gonna put me in this place. But understand that that's a temporary solution to a problem that isn't solved that way. So if you want to become that trader, if you want to become that investor, or that person that's living a better lifestyle, not dependent on the job, you're gonna have to really listen to quadrant number 4. So in quadrant number 4, this is where you become the investor. This is where most people want to be, but just don't want to do the work to get there. This is a place where 1% of the population lives. 1% of the world where they control 99% of the world's income. Now, what are forms of investments? Well, what a lot of people know is real estate. A lot of people know stocks. And I like to throw in dividends, dividend stocks. There's also crypto and a bunch of other things. You can invest into businesses. So in this space, this is where you trade money for money. This is a place where you pay almost no taxes. Hey, I know you guys can feel that one, right? Because once you get your little paycheck from your job, you're like, oh my gosh, taxes just took everything out. Well, guess what? Become an investor, have a business, you don't have to worry about paying taxes at all. In this space, you also get the most free time. So if you pay less money in taxes, you have more time to yourself. You're trading money for money. Why not be in that space? Why not do whatever it takes to get there? Because this is like you're picking up your Benjamin Franklin's from your wallet and you say, listen, I employ you. You're gonna go work for me 24/7 and make me as much money as you can. Guess what? Ben doesn't have to take lunch breaks. Ben doesn't have to take a nap. Ben doesn't get sick, right? He keeps working no matter what. Why would you not take that avenue? Just makes sense, right? Now that I broke that all down for you guys, you now know where you are. Drop in the comment section where exactly you are and where you aim to be, whether you're in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4, and where you want to go. Everybody knows you want to go to quadrant 4, but some people, let's be honest, some people don't want that type of lifestyle. Some people don't want that type of responsibility. Doesn't matter how much benefits come with it. They just don't want it. They don't want to do what it takes. Everyone wants to be a gangster until it's time to do what gangsters do, right? Guess what? That's how this turns out as well. So if you want to be a trader, first you have to understand where you are in this section within the 4 quadrants of cash flow, and then I'll help you make a plan for where you want to be. So some people will ask, well, how do we do that? How do we start? So I know where I am now. I know where I stand. I know what I've been through. I know the challenges that I'm facing at this moment. But how do I take myself from where I am to now become that investor, to now become that business owner, that trader, that real estate mogul? So in my next video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. I created some sort of, program that's going to help you manage your money on that scale, so you know how much money you actually have to go invest into the markets. I would love for you guys to throw in the comments how you feel about what I'm saying right now. Drop exactly where you are and let me know where you want to go. And I'm actually really excited to see those comments. I hope this video helped you. I'll see you on the next video where I break down exactly how to break down your expenses to see how we can make some money for you to go out there and trade and invest. I'll see you guys on that next video.